all that management, diversification, that's for idiots, right? Because you can't diversify enough to know what you're doing.
Hey guys, welcome to today's Role Model Monday. Today we're going to be taking a look at how exactly it is Mark Cuban invests his money and taking a look at his different investment strategies. Now the idea is to go ahead and take a look at titans of different industries and really try to understand what it is that worked for them so we can try and implement it in our day-to-day lives. If Mark says something that really resonated with you, please leave it in the comments below. Remember, if you write it down, you're actually more likely to remember it and execute on it later on. So, without further ado, let's start this video.
Markets have been going through these wild gyrations. Right. Don't seem to have a clear sense of what direction is up. How do you interpret that as somebody who's spent a lot of time playing the market?
Put on my, manage the portfolio trader hat, and not so much a trader, but manage the portfolio. It's great. Anytime there's volatility and any time there's change, there's opportunity. Now, I say it's great because I've taken a whole different approach to investing than most people. I think buy and hold's a crock of shit. I think, the idea that you always have to invest your cash is not far behind. And so I've always been of the attitude that unless you really have a commitment to something, just keep your money in cash, knowing that at some point in time, there's going to be a week or two like we've had.
But how much time, you've got a lot going on in your life. How much time do you have to actively manage your portfolio through these 500-point market swings?
Well, see, that's the whole thing. I don't have to spend much time until it hits the fan, right? So I
lot of hitting the fan this week.
Well, that's exactly right, and that's where the opportunity is. Like, I wouldn't look at my portfolio, or I get a one number statement every day from my bank, and that tells me if anything weird happened, and I won't even look at it. But then when everything starts getting crazy, I call it the World Series of investing. That's when you start digging in, and it's because of the approach that I take. So back in 2006 and 2007, I was writing blogs saying, look, the stock market's for suckers. You're getting put, when you sit down at the business table, you always look for the sucker, and if you don't see it, it's you. And you've got all these professional people on the other side of the trades. When I started trading stocks in the early 90s after I sold my first company, you could understand different elements of the market better than the professionals. So I can understand, new technology from Wellfleet and Synoptics and all these old technology companies better than the traders. Today, there's so much money in these huge hedge funds, and then they have such professional research and in-depth research, there really aren't any advantages for the individual traders. And so my approach has always been, unless I know something specific, put it in cash.
You make one-way bets. This isn't portfolio balancing you're talking about.
All that asset management, diversification, that's for idiots, right? Because you can't diversify enough to know what you're doing, right? I did my homework on Australia, right? I did my homework on the MREs. I did my homework on MLPs, and their pricing had just gotten
micro solutions for a couple $1 million. I read that
$6 million. Don't push it down.
I
got a couple million. Yeah.
But that's nothing, right, compared to now.
It's a lot, trust me. Even now.
But you took that money and then you invested it into other technology stocks that you knew, and then you took that and then went from broadcast.com and then boom, everything. What were those stocks that you invested in? So we teach our kids kind of the Peter Lynch adage, invest in what you know.
Yeah.
And I think you took
and that's exactly what I did.
Look,
I spent 7 years installing local area networks, writing software, doing wide area networks, and so I knew what a router, which companies' routers worked and didn't work, which companies' bridges and software worked and didn't work, which products were selling, which products weren't. And so I used that to my advantage, because back then it was a little bit easier because there weren't as many analysts covering everything, right? And so all these huge hedge funds, once they saw that I was killing it, they were like, okay, we're going to talk to this guy, and literally took my trading experience. I was making 85-100% a year, and created a hedge fund out of it. And and then we just immediately sold it. So it turned out really well. But I did that now, and I'm telling you, the Peter Lynch experience is going to be interesting in terms of, okay, where do you shop? What do you do? What websites do you go to?
Yeah.
But if you take the time to learn computer vision, neural networks, and everything, that's how all the decisions are going. A lot of the decisions are going to be made, but all decisions are going to be influenced. And so if you really want to get to that point, if you look at some of the hottest stocks right now, Nvidia, AMD, they're blowing up because of their ability to create processors that are geared towards artificial intelligence and supporting the data centers. If you look at what's happening with Amazon, I own a lot of Amazon stock because they are the most advanced in using all these things I've been talking about. Netflix, they started 10 years ago by using their versions of artificial intelligence back then to try to determine what's the best way to help guide people through choosing content. Through the whole discovery, they had $1 million contest. And so, artificial intelligence is going to eat the world. And so the Peter Lynch approach is great, but you have to be where the decision. Yeah, you have to understand that, right? Which is
not an easy industry.
No, and plus the other problem is there's a lot fewer companies going public these days, right? Back when we went public 20 years ago, there were 9,000 companies that were public. Now there's under 4,000, and so there's more money chasing fewer choices, which is good in some respects. But it's good because all that money helps push the indexes up, right? Lots of money, fewer stocks, so you don't have as many choices. But it's bad in that there aren't as many new companies coming out where you can say, okay, so-and-so is going public. I know that company. Most other people don't. And that might give me an edge in my investing.
Right, your Ubers and your Airbnb.
Yeah, and Snapchat, right? Snapchat's supposed to go public, Airbnb and Uber. And so let's talk about big-time screw-ups in investing.
Yeah.
So there's a guy named Travis Kalanick, right? And he had a company called Red Swoosh. Yeah. And I invested in it, and we sold it, and we made a little bit of money. His next company, he emails me. He's got this thing called Uber Cab. And he's like, you should invest in this, Mark. I'm like, I like it. It's a great idea. You're going to run into some resistance from all the taxi cab companies and all the transportation folks in different cities are going to hate you. So, I like the idea, but I don't like the way you're pricing it. Never heard back from him again. Now, that's my problem with Travis personally, but obviously it turned into Uber. And so sometimes you make it and sometimes you miss them. But
It's a waste of time. So what are John and Sally Doe supposed to do?
Depends how much money you have, right? So the best way to get a return, let's just say you have $50,000 in cash. It could be 10, it could be 100. But, let's use 50. First thing I would do is pay off all your credit cards because that's costing you 18%. That's what John and Sally should do first. Most don't, right? There's more credit card and student loan debt relative to personal income than there's ever been in the history of the United States. Second thing you do is you use the transactional value of cash. A lot of people say, you're losing money to inflation when you just have cash in the bank. I completely disagree. I know I'm going to be buying a bunch of toothpaste for my family. I know toilet paper. I know all the consumables that I have. I can take my cash and go get a better value. I can take my cash and go buy service.
Store up?
Yeah, why not? I mean, how much space does toothpaste take, but you're going to spend. But that's the whole thing. The time it takes just to figure out your budget, which nobody does. The time it takes just to analyze your spending habits, you can get a better return and you'll end up with more cash than trying to fight the John Paulsons of the world and these guys who have hundreds of analysts who are working for them. Why would you try to do better than them?
You can't win.
You can't. And now it's 100 times worse because of all the program trading.
But if you have enough money that you have to put some of it somewhere, to park some of it somewhere and hope to make a return on it, where do you put it?
What I do, I don't think you have to make a return on it because I'd rather sleep well at night. I put it in cash, literally. Now, obviously, I'm in a different position where I don't have to live off of the interest paying me 1 basis point off of cash, right? But at the same time, having that dry powder, if you will, available when weeks like today or weeks like this week hit and days like yesterday and today
and
happen,
you see an opportunity.
And you see an opportunity, then you're ready to take it as opposed to saying, I can't get out. What am I going to do? And I'll tell you the other part that's better. You're going to cut your health costs because you're going to sleep a whole lot better at night.
Do you sleep well?
Oh, I sleep like a baby. Don't use credit cards. Of all the investments you'll ever make, paying 19% or 18% on something is easily the dumbest. that's money that you should be keeping, you can be saving. It's a different world now because you can be a smart consumer. You know, you have the ability to price check anything on Amazon or Walmart.com, and you know what you need to save for, put on layaway with them now. It ended up, I had so many credit cards cut up. I was cleaning up some stuff and saw my old credit report. Sears, Amex, Visa, Kaufman's, these old, I mean, the situation I was in was like anybody who would give me a credit card, I would use because I didn't have any money, so I needed to use it. And so I literally, someone's flipping the old chunks of my old credit card somewhere. So, you know, stay away from credit. If you have a 401k match and you don't do it for as much as you can possibly force yourself to do, you're an idiot. If you don't have a 401k, then there's so many esoteric, dumbass banking rules, right? Where you can't just put $10 or $20 into the bank because of all the service fees, they're going to crush you, right? And so there's a variety of new things and opportunities that are coming up where if you can get yourself to put in $10 a week, $20 a week, $100 a month. If you're 21 and you put in $100 a month and you put it into a Vanguard index fund, let's say, hopefully you'll be able to increase those amounts. And so literally, if you can train yourself to save $100 a month and grow it as you earn more, you're going to be a millionaire by the time you retire. If you don't, you're going to be in the same boat I was at 27 and broke, or trying to figure it out, or you know, others at 50 or 60 who have nothing. The opportunities exist, and if you can invest in just a stock index fund, an SPX fund, Vanguard I mentioned because it's the lowest cost. Do it, do it, do it, do it, do it, do it. 2 less beers. No, these days 1 less beer, 1 less fireball shot, and you can be rich. Have those first 5 fireballs, but those last 2, that's for the future.
I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If there are any lessons you guys learned in today's video, please make sure to let me know in the comments below. We can go ahead and share different ideas. And hopefully there are a good amount of ideas that you guys can go ahead and take a look at and analyze and start executing in your day-to-day life. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Thanks for watching.